All right. So I saw this tweet that said if you put $1,000 into Bitcoin 10 years ago, you would have $1,578,000. And it just made me think, wow, what could you buy today that might deliver the same thing? So I put together another show and tell since everyone liked the last one. And at the end of this show and tell, I'm going to give you one stock that based on my thinking, going back 10 years and thinking through like, what are the factors that really, help you might have helped you identify Bitcoin in 2012. So 10 years ago, $1,000 turns itself into $1,578,000. So 10 years ago today, so October of 2012, you would have had to have the idea that you are going to buy something put, let's say $1,000. I mean, hey, it could be $1, it could be $10, it could be $100, but you end up with $1,578,000, 15,000% return. Big, big, big money, big money. And we always go for big money. So what could you look at today that could do the same thing now? Obviously, Bitcoin has already gone through its sort of like hyperbolic, crazy exponential rise. I mean, this can go up more, but that first rise really, it comes from something new. So I went back and thought through, if I was in 2012, if I had to do it over again, what would I have noticed? What would I have focused on? And I came up with 5 things. There are 5 things that I noted. And remember, I'm going to give you the name of a stock and tell you why I think it meets my 5 part test for what it is. So the number one thing is that it needs to be like a low price and as a result, a low market capitalization. So I went and looked it up. In 2012, Bitcoin had like a few hundred million, maybe market capitalization. Its price was double digits. In other words, you were buying at a low price because it was new, it was novel, it was wacky. People, disapproved of it. They didn't like it. So, its price was still fairly low. Second factor is that it's a solution to a big problem. Think back to 2012. The 2008 global financial crisis had just happened, and people were like, oh, the Federal Reserve is printing all this money, all these central banks are manipulating all this stuff. The big investment banks and big banks are being bailed out. There's all this stuff going on. The role of money really comes into play, and Bitcoin comes across as this neutral, non-national asset. It's controlled by a mathematical algorithm. There's absolute finite number. It's driven by this new process, which is crypto mining. So, and it looks like it can be global, it's portable, it's divisible, it can hold its value because it's finiteness. In other words, a solution to a big problem of money, of savings, of the integrity of money, a big deal. So that's second factor. The third one, which you could argue Bitcoin may not have met this test exactly, even though I'd say even I had heard of Bitcoin pretty early on. It was hard to buy, but everyone could buy it. In other words, there was no restriction to buying it. In other words, you lived in the United States, the United Kingdom, you lived in India, you lived in Africa, you lived in Turkey, you lived in Australia. Anyone could buy it. It was hard to buy, but anyone could buy it. There was no restriction in terms of someone being able to buy it. So that meant that you could really have a very large audience of people that could potentially buy it and get in. So that's the third one. In other words, it needs to be buyable by a large group of people. Now, the fourth one, I just want to look at my notes here very quickly, is that it's kind of disapproved of. And I definitely remember this, which is that Bitcoin was definitely something, if you told people you were interested in Bitcoin, they thought you were a little bit crazy. They thought that it was something that was going to go to zero. It was like called a fad, a cult, dumb, stupid, all this kind of stuff. And you know what? A lot of the biggest gainers, you probably have noticed this, they tend to be disapproved of when the gains really that can be had are going to be the biggest. They're disapproved of. This was true for Apple. It was true for Netflix, for Google, and definitely true for Bitcoin. And, hey, for the stock number I tell you about, if it works out, I'm pretty sure, It will be something that, on the way up, everybody telling you that's dumb, it's stupid, it's never going to happen, it's too early. There's going to be a plethora, a big word, plethora of objections. And so you will need to have some guts, some conviction, some belief, and go, at ATG, we call it going against the grain. You'll have to have some ATG in your blood to actually hold on to it. So that's fact number 4. Number 5 is that it is crazy, crazy volatile. And the price is going to swing around for a long time. And I went back and worked out why. Because you know what? When you have something that is new, right? That is something that is going to be a solution to a big problem. You are going to have, a lot of estimates as to what it's worth. Some people are going to think that, hey, this thing should trade, at some crazy high price. Other people who think that it's dumb and stupid should think it's trade at 0. And so as a result, you are going to see wild swings. And we've seen that with Bitcoin. We've seen that with all of these big, big winner stocks. I mean, which is that they've been crazy volatile. Only in hindsight is the value of the solution that they're providing very, very clear. So it's going to be volatile. In other words, if you're a day trader and looking for a day trade, this ain't for you. And while I say that, I want to mention this channel, opinion, not financial advice. It's ultimately your money, and win or lose, it's your responsibility, not investment advice. I want to make that 100%, 1000% clear. So after putting this into all of the things that I read and think about on a day-to-day basis, I came up with one idea. At 10 years from now, maybe delivers what people are looking for, which is taking $1,000 and turning it into 15,000% higher. And my pick, okay, this is not the stock pick, this is the industry, but don't worry, the stock pick is coming. Wireless electricity. That's for your stunned silence. Wireless electricity, right? Okay. And I'll tell you the stock pick, just hold on. It passes my 5-part test, all right? When you hear about the stock, you'll see it's got a low price. The stock price is $1, and the market capitalization of the company is 80 million. So this is a tiny, tiny, tiny company. Big problem, wireless electricity. Like, come on, like electricity. I mean, like, imagine not having all these wires, even in our house. Like, forget outside where, I can see wires outside. Imagine like all of our devices could just be beamed the electricity that they need. Imagine electric cars being able to get beamed their electricity. I mean, okay, this one, no brainer. Definitely solution to a big problem. It's a stock. And you know what? While not everybody can buy it, really most countries in the world, you can buy a US traded stock. So I'll put it in there. Disapproved of? Well, at this point, the idea of wireless electricity is probably about at the same level of Bitcoin, which is people's like, that's never going to happen. It's going to take 100 years. It's really kind of sci-fi. Like, like what are they going to do? Transmit radio waves to transmit electricity? Yeah, that's actually the way this technology works. But hey, you can see people are going to be skeptical. So it's going to be disapproved of, as seen as pie in the sky. And you know what? This thing is crazy, crazy volatile because, of course, some people think it could go to the moon because, hey, wireless electricity, like, come on, like, how big could this be? I mean, it could be just gigantic. I mean, think about everything in our lives. What is it powered by? Electricity. All right, big reveal moment. What is the stock? Well, that's the ticker symbol, WATT. Very clever, right? Watts, electricity, right? The company is Energous, Energous Corp. Stock price of $1. So hardcore penny stock, microcap. Yeah. Again, if the stock goes crazy up after this YouTube video, well, it's because people watching this YouTube video have gone and bid it up. It's not because it suddenly has solved the world's electricity problems. Just to be clear, there is that effect, which is if everybody goes to buy at the same time, you are just bidding each other up. In other words, it's just essentially like you pumping the stock up and then other people, coming in right after you. But nonetheless, I've looked at this technology, folks, and if they can do what they say they can do, which is be able to transmit electricity using radio waves, and they just got an approval in August from the regulatory bodies in the United States to do this. This is not pie in the sky. This is an actual technology that actually works. Now, it's not being implemented yet in scale, but nonetheless, they've gotten federal approval to be able to implement this. So, hey, it's not something that's going to happen 10 years from now. They have the technology to do this. They've been working on it for a while. Now it's just really a matter of commercial rollout, which is when really the big money is made. It's not when the technology is created. It's when it becomes a business, starts to generate sales growth, and then eventually cash flow. That's when stocks rocket up. This is a micro cap. So, hey, you get burned. You remember what I said. Hey, this is not investment advice. This is opinion. This is engagement. This is entertainment. Win or lose, it's on you. 79 million market cap, which is tiny. Yeah. Its high was hit in 2018. There was like a big buzz back then about, I think, Energous might get a contract with Apple to be their wireless solution for the iPhone. Never went anywhere. It's crashed. Last 52 weeks, the high is $2. The low is about 82 cents. So that's my pick for what, hey, when we look back at 2022, in 2032, we're like, hey, what do I wish that I put? Whatever, I only did it till 10, but you could do $100,000. So essentially, where you make 15,000%. So wireless electricity. And from my research, Energous is the only publicly traded company that I could find. There may be others out there. I couldn't find them. It does trade in the US. It is microcap. It is risky. Remember, opinion, not advice on this channel. There is another company that I track, which is private, which is out of New Zealand. They don't have a publicly traded stock yet, but it is a theme and trend. Wireless electricity is something that I track. I believe that if it could be successful, well, it's going to drive gains that, in my opinion, in my judgment, could be as big as Bitcoin if you had invested in it 10 years ago. If you like these kinds of ideas, want these forward-looking trends, mega trends, technology trends, or like I call it, OGI, opportunity, growth, and innovation type ideas, well, check into my Substack, link below. Check into the paid services of ATG Digital. Subscriptions begin at $9.99. If you like this video, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe.